Good evening all of you students, how are you doing? Summer is too much heat now nowadays. Okay, anyways, I hope all of you are doing great in this hot summer also and taking care of yourselves. And those who have come here, they have already started learning, I guess. And I would like to take today's topic, plant kingdom. I think you know me, I am Geetha, botany faculty, and today's chapter is plant kingdom. How many of you are aware of the plants? Different kinds of plants you must have seen, like mango tree, hibiscus, China rose plant, so many plants you must have seen. But whatever the plants you have seen in the vicinity, they are all angiosperms basically. You must be aware of that term angiosperm at least. Angiosperm, flowering plants basically, and they contain fruits. That is the meaning of the term angiosperm, fruit containing flowering plants. Okay. So whatever you are growing in your garden, most probably they must be belonging to the angiosperms category. But only one thing I can say, there are a lot of plants other than flowering plants also. So they are also kept under plant kingdom by scientists before only. Let us see what are the total types of plants that we have in nature and how they are classified by our scientists. You know, when the scientists they started observing the plants for the first time, they were thinking that, okay, so many plants are there with different characteristics. How many characters should be considered for the classification? For example, I can count like flower color or petal color or number of petals or number of stamens or number of leaves or number of other vegetative characters also can be considered. So they were having confusion how many characters should be considered while doing the classification, or which characters should be considered. Should I consider vegetative characters like which are not participating in reproduction, or should I consider the reproductive characters which are important for the reproduction to continue the generations? So they were having some confusions about which type of classifications we should follow. So the best classifications of today, let us see which the scientists gave us, all the types of classification from the beginning. Earliest classifications were actually based on observable characters which we can see in the plant. See, for example, when you look at a plant, it will be having, for example, this plant. It is the plant which is having the leaves and you can see the branches and stems also, but in this there is no flower. Is there any flower in that? No flower, but it is a plant basically, a living plant. So let us consider there are some plants without flowers also, they are present in this world. And now let us see different types of plants in that which plants characters are considered, like leaves are considered. As I have shown you this plant, it has just leaves and the small branches are there and stem is there, but no flower is there, no fruit is there, and unless and until you pluck the plant you cannot see the root system. So which systems will be used in the classification, that is more important to understand the plant kingdom. Let us see that plant kingdom classification. All of you see here the plant kingdom, it will be dealing with different types of classification systems. The first one is artificial classification. In the artificial classification is the one which includes generally all observable characters, but among them, okay, only few characters are considered. Imagine a plant is having some 100 observable characters. In that, only 10 characters or few characters like 3 characters only will be considered for the classification. So this artificial is based on few characters, mainly on vegetative characters it is based. For example, that few characters can be, as I told you, petal color, petal number, number of leaves, number of fruits, and so many things. So which classification is based on few morphological characters, that is artificial system of classification. In that, these are mainly based on vegetative characters I have given here, and or the androecium. Androecium means the male reproductive part. This is the male reproductive part of a flower. Vegetative characters means which include root, stem and leaf. So a classification system which is basically based on few morphological characters, though the plant is showing several characters, that type of classification is called artificial. And in that few observable characters, some of them, whatever the characters we are considering, you can consider vegetative characters or you can consider reproductive characters. Vegetative characters means only root, stem, leaf. Reproductive characters means which are dealing with the flower. So that character should be considered. And this classification is totally based on the characters or all given equal importance. For example, vegetative characters are there, okay, which keeps on changing according to the environment. But this system of classification gave equal weightage to both vegetative characters as well as the reproductive characters. This androecium, which is the male part, it will come under reproductive character because this is present in the flower. So artificial system used to give equal weightage for both vegetative characters as well as reproductive characters. But you have to keep it in mind that vegetative characters can be influenced by the environment. So the system is not having that much significance because characters can be changed in this. And this system was actually first given by Linnaeus. He is a famous scientist, Carolus von Linnaeus. He is the famous taxonomist and he is father of taxonomy also. So he gave the first artificial system of classification based on number of stamens in a flower. He considered in the flower how many stamens are there, only that character he considered, and he gave the first artificial system of classification. There were other scientists also like Theophrastus, who is the father of botany. He also gave the artificial system based on only one character, that is height of the plant. So when you take a height of the plant, 1 feet height, it is called as herb, then 3 feet height, it is called as shrub, and more than 3 feet, it is called as tree. So based on only one character, that is height, is considered in this classification by Theophrastus, who is the father of botany. So when we are considering basically one character, very few characters, or 2 characters or 3 characters, less number of characters, that system is called artificial system, and it gives equal weightage to both vegetative characters and reproductive characters. Now let us see the next classification. You know the flaws of artificial system of classification, because it gave equal importance to vegetative and reproductive characters, and it did not consider all the characters of the plant. So this is having some drawbacks. Because of that, the next system came into existence, that is natural system of classification. In the natural system of classification, we can consider almost all the observable morphological characters. Suppose for example, I said one plant is having 100 characters. So you can consider all 100 characters of the plant. That is the natural system of classification. But along with that, you are going to consider the natural affinities of that plant with other organisms. See, for example, one mango plant is there in your garden, and other plants are also there. So you will be giving the affinity of this mango plant towards the other plants. Okay, they are living in the same environment. So how they are living in the same environment? That is called natural affinities. So natural affinities are considered along with all observable morphological characters. So how many characters are there if all characters are considered? Okay, along with natural affinities, that will become the natural system of classification. Then the next one, this is actually definitely having advantages when compared to artificial system. It has merits, but it also has one drawback, that is in this system the scientists, they did not follow any evolutionary pattern. You know, we will be writing our family tree in the sense like from our grandparents, okay, their grandparents and their grandparents, like that we will be writing our ancestral history. So in the same way, for the plants also, plant ancestral history we will be writing, that is called evolution. So in this natural system of classification, they did not follow evolution, or that plant ancestral history was not followed in giving this system of classification. So that is the main drawback, or only one drawback rather I can say, in the natural system of classification. So natural system has only one drawback, but artificial has many drawbacks when compared to natural. Now natural system was actually given by Bentham and Hooker. 2 scientists are there, Bentham and Hooker. These 2 scientists, they gave the natural system of classification. Even today we are following for the practical botany the same Bentham and Hooker's natural system of classification, because they considered so many plants, okay, and so many characters they considered, and they kept one particular evolution system, okay, but they did not follow the evolution. Basically they kept one order, but which they did not follow the actual evolution system. They kept one particular sequence or order. Then they gave that system. As I told you, only one drawback is there, that is the evolution point is not considered. Then the next systems came into existence, that is phylogenetic system of classification. This includes all the characters, natural affinities plus evolution. Evolution means that ancestral history of the plant from where it is formed, which were the first plants, okay, the ancestral plants, then their plants like that, their offsprings. So present generation, like that, evolution is also considered. So let us have a glance of these three systems of classification: artificial system, natural system, and phylogenetic system. In artificial system, we will consider few morphological characters or few observable characters. Only few we can see with our naked eye will be considered. And that system gave equal importance to vegetative characters as well as reproductive characters. But it did not consider all other points, or all the characters are not considered, given by Linnaeus and Theophrastus. Next, natural system of classification. In this, all the characters of the plants are considered, plus natural affinities of the organisms are also considered. Let me write for you in this manner. Artificial system, it considers few characters only, given by Linnaeus. Natural system, it considers all observable characters plus natural affinities among the organisms. Affinities among organisms. The only one point which is not considered here is evolution. Other than that, everything is considered. Next one, phylogenetic system of classification. In this, all are considered, natural affinities are also considered, plus evolution point also is considered. So which is advanced among these three? Which is advanced? Is artificial advanced, or natural advanced, or phylogenetic advanced? Definitely the advanced one is phylogenetic, because it considered all observable characters, natural affinities, evolution, and all other branches of biology are also considered in this. So definitely the useful one which we follow today is the phylogenetic system of classification. Though Linnaeus gave the artificial system of classification, natural system was given by Bentham and Hooker, phylogenetic system is given by so many scientists are there, like Hutchinson, okay, Bessey, so many scientists are there, Engler, Prandtl, so many scientists. So I did not give any particular scientist name here because it keeps on changing. The present system what we follow is phylogenetic system of classification. Okay, all of you understood? These are the first systems of classification. Okay, I hope all of you understood this. Give a thumbs up if you understood that. There are three basic systems of classifications, like artificial, natural, and phylogenetic. Yeah, artificial is nothing but few morphological characters are considered. Natural systems are nothing but all morphological characters plus natural affinities are considered. Phylogenetic, all characters, natural affinities, and evolution. These 3 points are considered. Okay, let us go to some of the definitions in this chapter. We have one branch called as taxonomy. So that taxonomy definitions you have to know in this chapter particularly. Let us see those 3 definitions. Okay, thank you. I hope you all understood that. Now let us see the next definitions, like numerical taxonomy. Taxonomy branches, different branches are there. So first one, numerical taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy means, imagine just now I told you like 100 characters are there. So all that 100 characters are given 1 to 100 numbers, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Then after giving that numbers to all the characters, how many are there? That many numbers you are going to give. After that, that numbers and then codes are given, because we have to process this data in the system, computer. So after giving the numbers, we will be assigning even codes also. Certain codes will be there, that codes also will be assigned. So numbers and codes are assigned to all the characters. After assigning the numbers and codes, the data will be analyzed by using computers. Because we can imagine I told 100 characters, then we can count. But if you think 1 lakh characters are there in a plant which should be considered, then it is not possible for us to do the taxonomy by sitting 1 lakh characters which are there to count and to measure. All those things are difficult. So numerical taxonomy will take the help of computers. We will be using the computer systems. to count all the characters, assigning the numbers, assigning the codes, and then we will feed the data to the systems, computers, and the data will be analyzed. And based on the data, if similar characters are there in that plant, that similarities will be placed under together, one kind of category. If dissimilarities are there, they will be separated. That will be done by the computers. So when we are using computers to identify all the characters, okay, that type of taxonomy branch is called as numerical taxonomy. All of you can see here, which is now easily carried out using computers, is based on all observable characteristics. So as I told you, all observable characters, it varies from one plant to another plant. They can be 100, they can be 1000, or they can be 10,000 or 1 lakh also. It depends. So, but you have to consider in this numerical taxonomy all observable characters. All characters are considered. And then numbers and codes are assigned to all the characters, and then the data is processed by using the computers. Definitely computers will be used in the analysis of the data, which we are going to feed that. That is numerical taxonomy. So a branch of taxonomy which deals with all the observable characters, okay, and by giving the numbers and codes, the data will be processed by the computers. That kind of branch is called numerical taxonomy. The next one, cytotaxonomy. Cyto, meaning is cell, basically cell. The meaning will come, cytology, cyto, cell. So cytotaxonomy means whatever it is there inside the cell, that will come. So in the cytotaxonomy, we have the cytological information, like we have in the cell, particularly nucleus, chromosomes will be there. So that chromosome structure, how it is there, what is the kind of behavior which is shown by the chromosomes, okay, how many number of chromosomes do we have? You know, human cells, we have 46 chromosomes, the number, okay, what is the structure of that chromosomes, and the behavior, how they are behaving during the cell cycle. You have learnt mitosis, meiosis and all, the chromosomes will be moving apart in the nucleus or cell towards poles like that. So what is the kind of behavior? So when we talk about chromosome structure, chromosome number and chromosome behavior, that branch of taxonomy is called as cytotaxonomy. Okay, what is cytotaxonomy? Which deals with the structure, number and behavior of chromosomes that are present in the cells. Okay, you can see here this cytotaxonomy is based on cytological information like chromosome number, chromosome structure and chromosome behavior. So definitely chromosome structure, number and behavior are considered in the cytotaxonomy. Then the last definition, chemotaxonomy. Chemo means chemicals, basically chemicals. So in the chemotaxonomy, which is given importance, you know, in the cell cytoplasm, we have 100 trillion cells. In the cell cytoplasm, we have so many chemicals, like I told you in the before class, biomolecules. So carbohydrates, proteins, all of them will be there in the nucleus and cytoplasm. So that chemicals which are present inside the cell, if you take into consideration, then that type of branch is called as chemotaxonomy. It considers all the chemical constituents of the plant. First cell, then later the plant. In the cell, first you have to consider which chemicals are present, then later in the total plant body, which chemical constituents are present in the plant. That will be considered in the chemotaxonomy. Okay, let us see the definition of these three in detail. Numerical taxonomy. These are all taxonomy branches. Numerical taxonomy, numbers and codes are assigned to all characters. All characters are considered and numbers and codes will be given to all the characters, and that will be processed by the computers. Then cytotaxonomy. This deals with chromosome structure, chromosome number, chromosome structure, and then behavior of chromosomes inside the cell during cell cycle. Just chromosome number, structure and their behavior during cell cycle will be considered. The next one, chemotaxonomy. all the chemical constituents, all chemicals present in the plant. In the plant, how many chemicals are there? If you consider all the chemicals, then it will be coming under chemotaxonomy. I hope all of you understood these three definitions. If you understood, you can give a thumbs up. Numerical taxonomy, numbers and codes are assigned to all the characters. Then cytotaxonomy, chromosome structure, number and behavior is considered. Then chemotaxonomy, all chemicals of the plant are considered while doing the classification. Okay, very good, thank you. Let us see the next one. Okay. Which type of plants we have basically? I will be giving you a brief explanation first. Yeah, all of you can see this. The brief explanation of plant kingdom, it will go like this. Plant kingdom is classified into first one algae, okay, in which there is no embryo stage, embryos are absent. Embryo is a stage which is formed from the zygote of a cell. Zygote is the fertilization product and zygote will be becoming the embryo. But algae, the plants, the primitive plants, very small microscopic plants, they don't have embryo stages. So they are called as non-embryophytes. So they are the non-embryophytes. Then embryophytes are there because they contain embryo. In that embryo, you have the types like bryophytes, tracheophytes. Bryophytes means the primitive plants which are amphibious plants. We'll go to the details. Just you have to remember algae, bryophytes, then under tracheophytes you have the pteridophytes, okay, and then spermatophytes. After the spermatophytes, they are classified into gymnosperms and angiosperms. Angiosperms are classified into dicots and monocots. I think you are aware of the angiosperms and dicots and monocots, these terms. Okay. So this is the total glance of the plant kingdom where we have algae which are non-embryophytes and remaining all plants are embryophytes because all of them will contain the embryos. Only algae will not contain the embryos, whatever the algae you are going to learn. Okay, algae are non-embryophytes, remaining all plants are considered as embryophytes. Let us see the details of algae. Okay, in this algae you can see they are very simple, the multicellular, okay, or unicellular can be there. But in the plant kingdom, the algae which are present are multicellular and they are very simplest forms and they don't have the parts like root, stem, leaf. So they will be having undifferentiated plant body which is like thalloid plant body, something like this which cannot be divided into root, stem, leaf, nothing. So the simplest forms are primitive forms and their plant body is the thallus. This undifferentiated plant body is called as thallus. Can you see in this root, stem and leaf? Nothing you can see. So that kind of thalloid forms, okay, they are called as algae. And they are multicellular generally and they are simplest forms. But there are some algae which are unicellular, as I told you. Unicellular alga example is Chlamydomonas. Unicellular alga example is Chlamydomonas. Remaining all, okay, most of them are multicellular. And then the plant body is called as thallus. You can see that that is called as thallus. Thallus means undifferentiated plant body. Thallus is undifferentiated plant body. Undifferentiated means no roots, no stems, no leaves, that's all. Okay. Then I have given a term here, avascular. Wherever you get, just remember one thing, A term stands for avascular. A means no, okay, no or lack of. Vascular tissues. You must have learned xylem, phloem, etc., right? So xylem, phloem, all of them, they are coming under vascular tissues. In anatomy already you have learnt, I guess. So xylem and phloem. So there are no vascular tissues in these plants, particularly no vascular tissues in the plant, algae. Okay, no vascular tissues in the plant. That means no xylem, no phloem. So they are considered as avascular plants. A means lack of or no. Okay, no vascular tissues like xylem and phloem. So they are called as avascular plants. Then the habitat, where they live. The term like habitat is there. Habitat means their dwelling place, where they live. Basically, algae are present in the water bodies. That water can be fresh water, marine water. Most of them are aquatic, whichever the water may be, but most of them are aquatic. But there are few algae which are terrestrial. So they can be present in water or they can be present in on the land also. So mainly they are aquatic. Okay, but they can be present even on the land. Land meaning is terrestrial. Mainly they are aquatic, but they can be present on the land also, so they are terrestrial also. Next one, they are all eukaryotes. Eukaryotes means which are having a particular true nucleus. Okay, true nuclear membrane. You must have learnt eukaryote and prokaryote. So true nucleus will be there, true nuclear membrane will be there, and the plant body is called as the thallus. So they are called thallophytes, eukaryotic thallophytes, and they can perform photosynthesis because they contain the pigments. Some pigments like chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B will be there, so they can perform photosynthesis. So by photosynthesis they can prepare their own food material, so they are called as autotrophs, and as autotroph they will be using the light energy to perform photosynthesis. These are also called photoautotrophs. Autotroph means synthesizing the food. Photoautotrophs means synthesizing the food by using light energy. So algae are called as photoautotrophs also because they are going to synthesize their food. You can see here photoautotrophs. Autotrophs means food is synthesized, synthesis of food by using light energy. By using light energy, that is called as photoautotrophism. So photoautotrophs are nothing but synthesizing the food materials by using the light energy which is coming from sun. So they are called as photoautotrophs. In which form the food will be stored in them? See, in our body the food will be stored as glycogen, but in the plant body the food will be stored in the form of starch. The reserve food material in case of plants, generally it is a starch. It varies from one plant to another plant, different types of starches you will be learning later. But here, as it is a plant, it will be storing all the food which it is preparing in the form of starch. That is a storage form or reserve food material of these plants. Then reproduction. Reproduction in case of plants, it is done by, in this algae, done by three methods. One is vegetative reproduction. Vegetative means, I told you already, vegetative parts means root, stem, leaf only are considered. But here there is no such parts, only thallus is present. So thallus will break into two parts. Imagine this is the thallus, it will break into the fragments. These are called fragments. And this process is called as fragmentation. If thallus is broken down into different number of fragments or pieces or bits, that process is called as fragmentation. So algae will be reproducing vegetatively by fragmentation method. That means that thallus will be dividing into number of fragments. Okay. And asexual method is done by basically spores. Asexual reproduction is done by, so many spores are there, but among them the most important spores are zoospores. Zoospores are the only one motile spores because they have the flagella. These are flagella. So as they contain the flagella, they are motile, the only one motile spores. In all aquatic algae, generally this type of motile zoospores are present. Remaining all spores which you are going to learn, apelnospores, echinoids, okay, different spores are there, hypnospores, all of them are non-motile. Only zoospores are the motile spores, okay, because they contain the flagella. They can move or swim in the water. So asexual reproduction is done basically by spore formation, and different types of spores are there. One example for the spores is zoospores. They are the best ones because they are the motile spores, because they contain the flagella. Sexual reproduction is done by gametic fusion. Gametes will be formed and gametes will be fusing. Okay, two types of gametes will be formed, okay, and the two gametes will be fused in the medium, that is water. In the surrounding water, that will be fused, and that results in the formation of zygote. But zygote will never develop into embryo. As I told in the beginning only, they don't have the embryos. So zygote will directly develop into the algal plant body or thalloid form. So that is how the reproduction will be happening, like vegetative reproduction by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction is done by spores, and sexual reproduction is done by gametic fusion. But again, based on the gametic fusion, I will show you some pictures. You have to tell me whether these are same or not. See, I have taken two gametes like this. You can make out these two are almost same type of gametes. Size is same, structure is same, okay, no motile structures or motile structures are not there. Both are same. So fusion of similar gametes is called isogamy. Okay, two gametes are there, 1 and 2. The two gametes, okay, will be exactly same. You cannot identify which is what, which is male, which is female. We can't tell. Both the gametes are same. So that type of gametic fusion is called isogamy, and these gametes are called isogametes. Similar type of gametes, similar in size, similar in structure, similar in all the points. They are called as isogametes. The fusion of similar gametes is isogamy. That is the first type. Next one, all of you can make out the difference, I guess, by this. Can you see the difference in these two? This does not contain flagella, this contains the flagella. These are the flagella. So can I say this can move, this cannot move? So motility point is different, okay, 1 point. I will show you one more. Here size is different. So any 1 point they can differ, like either motility difference is there, or structure difference is there, or size difference is there. So this type of dissimilar gametes, they are called as anisogametes. Anisogametes means dissimilar gametes. At least 1 point will be different, or 2 points will be different, like size, structure, motility, etc., function. So the fusion of dissimilar gametes is called anisogamy. The fusion of dissimilar gametes is called as anisogamy, or fusion of anisogametes is called anisogamy. Okay, then you have the anisogamy thing, and then oogamy. In oogamy, the third one, you can see next one. This is one more type of sexual reproduction where you have a small microgamete will be there, a size, and one large gamete will be there, that is the macrogamete or egg. Okay, the fusion of the small microgamete and the fusion of with the large macrogamete, it is called as oogamy. And generally the microgamete can be motile or it can be non-motile. That means it may have flagellum or it may not have the flagellum. But macrogamete is always non-motile, and its size is also big. Large non-motile macrogamete will be fertilizing with the small, definitely small, motile or non-motile male gamete. So the fusion of these two, microgamete and macrogamete, is called as oogamy, and these gametes are called oogametes. So in algae, reproduction is done by 3 methods: isogamy, anisogamy and oogamy. Let us see that terms. Isogamy means A fusion of similar gametes in size, structure, shape, everything, function, whatever the point you consider. That is called isogamy. Fusion of dissimilar gametes, any one point they are different or all the points they are different, that fusion of dissimilar gametes is called as anisogamy. Okay, I have given two examples like how the anisogamy can be there. And then you have learnt oogamy. Let us see the examples of isogamy. Isogamy, the best examples are for the non-motile gametes, non-flagellated gametes, non-flagellated isogamy. Example is Spirogyra. Okay. For the flagellated isogamy, the example is Ulothrix. Flagellated isogamy, Ulothrix. So we have isogamy, two examples are there, the flagellated isogamy and non-flagellated isogamy. Non-flagellated example is Spirogyra and the flagellated example is Ulothrix. Okay, both belong to isogamy. Anisogamy example, you can see this one in Eudorhina. See, for a NEET purpose, you have to know the examples and you have to practice them. Later you will learn all these examples. Right now you can imagine what is isogamy, what is anisogamy, okay, and what is oogamy. So fusion of similar gametes is isogamy. Examples are Ulothrix and Spirogyra. Fusion of dissimilar gametes is anisogamy. Example is Eudorhina, and even some species of Spirogyra also will come. And the next one, oogamy. Fusion of small, okay, motile or non-motile male gamete, okay, with the large non-motile female gamete is called as oogamy. This oogamy is seen in examples like Volvox and Fucus. In these two examples, you can see that oogamy. Okay, that's it about the three types of reproduction in algae. So all of you can see here, sexual method is done by gametic fusion basically, and it is isogamous type, anisogamous type and oogamous type. So any method they can follow for the sexual reproduction. We have three methods of reproduction: vegetative, asexual and sexual method. Vegetative occurs by fragmentation or else hormogonia, which you will learn later. I told you asexual reproduction is done by zoospores, epilenospores, hypnospores, echinates, azygospore. But among all these, zoospores are the important ones because they are the only one motile spores, okay, in the algae. Sexual method, as you have learnt already, that is isogamy, anisogamy and oogamy. Let us see some of the pictures which are there given in the NCERT. See the first one, this is Volvox. Anyhow, they have given here, it is Volvox. This is actually a colonial alga. Colonial means which lives in colonies. See, people also will be living in the colonies. In the same way, this Volvox will be living in the colony. Like so many daughters will be there and parental colonies will be there. So all of them will be together. Okay, that type of colonial alga is the Volvox. Colonial, which lives in the colonial green alga, is the Volvox. This is the filamentous alga. It looks like a filament. Filamentous green alga, you can see the color also, green alga. This is the Ulothrix. Ulothrix already I have written there in the previous slide, Ulothrix. Filamentous green alga, Ulothrix. Okay. Next one, you have the brown algae. These are all brown in color. We have algae categorized based on their pigments. See, some are which are having the green color pigments are called green algae, which are having the brown color pigments, they are called brown algae, which are red in color with red pigments, they are called as red algae. So three types of categories are there, which I will be showing you in the next slide. These are just the diagrams which are given, the pics which are given in the NCERT. So these two belong to green algae, Volvox and Ulothrix. Then the brown algae, this is called laminaria. You can see here laminaria. This has one hold fast, stipe and frond. The labeled parts are also important here. Hold fast, which is fixed in the substratum. Stipe, it looks like some white stem. frond looks like a leaf but it is not a true leaf. That is laminaria. The next one is, this is fucus. Fucus is so important because it is not only having the holdfast, it has the fronds and it has air bladders. Frond is there and midrib. Frond is nothing but leaf-like structure. Frond means leaf-like. Okay. So laminaria and then fucus, they will have the holdfast and leaf-like structures called fronds. Special feature about fucus is they contain air bladder. They have air bladder which is filled with air. Then the next one, you have the dictyota. This is called as dictyota because every time it will branches into two. Every time it gives rise to two branches like this. Every time. Okay. So that kind of brown alga is called as dictyota. This also will be having the stipe and definitely holdfast is also there. Those three are brown algae. Next, the last two are red algae, these two. You can see it is looking just a frond. Just a frond is there here. That means only leaf-like structure is there. This is the porphyra. Just a leaf-like structure is there. That is the porphyra. Okay. Then it's looking like a small plant actually with branches and needle-like leaves, something like that. So these are the branches, main axis is there. So if you see some kind of tree-like, a small tree-like, okay, that is the Polysiphonia. This is Polysiphonia, this is porphyra. Okay, I will write here so that you can understand that easily. Porphyra and Polysiphonia. Okay, you can see the names are already given here. Porphyra the first one and the second one is Polysiphonia. This one is dictyota, this one is fucus, this one is laminaria, this one is Elothrix and this is the colonial alga volvox. So these are the examples which you should know because they are all given in the NCERT. Let us see the next one. This is the classification of algae. Okay, I hope all of you understood up to here. Is it fine with everyone? Give me a thumbs up so that I will continue. You have seen all the algae pictures like green algae, brown algae and then red algae. Okay. Thank you so much. You can see here now the first class name is Chlorophyceae. Chlorophyceae. Chloro means wherever you get the term chloro, meaning is green color. So green algae are basically called with the class name Chlorophyceae. These are nothing but green algae. Phaeophyceae, pheo means brown color, so they are the brown algae. Rhodophyceae, red algae. So we have three colors already: green algae, brown algae, red algae. Green algae are called as Chlorophyceae, brown algae are called as Phaeophyceae, red algae are called as Rhodophyceae. So in this you can see here already it is given green algae, brown algae and red algae. The table is given exactly like this in the NCERT. So what are the major pigments? You know why they are classified like these colors? Because they contain the pigments which give them the particular color. They are looking green or brown or red in color because they contain some of the pigments in them. So the pigments which are mainly present are chlorophyll A and B here in green algae, A and C and fucoxanthin here. A, if you notice here in all the green algae, chlorophyll A is common. Like this you have to practice for the NEET. Which is common for all the algae, which pigment is common, that means it is chlorophyll A, okay, which is present only in green algae exclusively or unique for the green algae, then B will be coming because B is present only in the green algae. Now here which pigment is unique for the brown algae? C and fucoxanthin. Which pigment is exclusive in case of red algae? D, chlorophyll D and phycoerythrin. So you have to learn which pigments are there. In green algae chlorophyll A and B are there, in brown algae chlorophyll A, C are there and fucoxanthin are there. Three pigments are there, A, C, fucoxanthin. And then in red algae chlorophyll A, D and then you have the phycoerythrin which gives them the red color. The erythrin means erythrocyte, RBC, red color. So that kind of pigments are present. Next, I told you already food is stored in the form of starch. There only I told you different forms of starch are there. So here the stored food will be just starch or general starch in case of chlorophyce, green algae. But in case of phaeophyce, brown algae, the food material will be, that starch will be stored as laminarin starch. It is a type of starch. The name of the starch is laminarin starch. If you recollect, I have shown you a brown alga called as laminaria. So based on the laminaria, the name of the storage food came, because brown algae is laminaria. So laminarin starch. And then mannitol, this is a type of starch, another type of starch. So laminarin and mannitol are storage food in case of phaeophyce. Whereas in rhodophyce, it is a Floridian starch, a starch only which contain extra fluorine that is added. Fluorine, nowadays we are having the toothpaste with fluorine available, something like that. So starch will be having fluorine. So Floridian starch it is called. So three types are there: starch, laminarin, mannitol and Floridian starch. Which algae will be having which kind of reserve food material or stored food, that is important. Next, cell wall. Cell wall is made up of which material? In green algae, cell wall is basically made up of cellulose. In brown algae, cellulose will be there, but along with that algin is present. So brown algae will be having cellulose as well as algin. Red algae will be having cellulose, pectin and polysulfate esters. Okay, different types of polysulfate esters will be there, that you will be learning later which kind of materials will be there, like carrageen, okay, agar. These are all polysulfate esters. Basically in all the algae, cellulose is common. If you see here again, which is common material in the cell wall of all algae, cellulose. Different materials, algin in case of brown algae, pectin and polysulfate esters in red algae. This is how you are going to learn the cell wall. Next one, as I told you, some motile structures are there, flagella are there, zoospores. Okay, so in that, the flagellar number and position of insertions. How many flagella are basically present? Whether the flagella are 2, 8, how many a number? Okay, so here in the chlorophyce we have 2 to 8 flagella. The range is given. The minimum number of flagella which are present in green algae will be 2, and the maximum number it can reach up to 8. Then the flagella will be equal in size. If you measure the length, no, both of them will be equal, because 2 are there generally. So 2 is a common number, and 2 to 8 flagella, all the flagella will be equal in size. And then apical flagella, that means at the apex the all flagella are present like this. At the apex, at the top, you know, our head is at the apex, so at here, at the point, here flagella will be there at the apex. So they are called as apical flagella. This type of flagella will be there in the chlorophyce. Next, coming to the brown algae, only 2 flagella will be there and they are unequal. So for example, if I want to show you, this is the one. You can see here, this is the smaller flagellum, this is the larger flagellum. So unequal in size, that only 2 flagella will be there which are unequal in size. And laterally they are present. Laterally means they are not there at the apex, they are present sideways like this. One side of the algal cell or the plant body, they are present. So they are said to be lateral. Okay. And last one, red algae, they don't have any flagella. Totally flagella are absent. So name the class of algae where flagellated structures are totally absent, means it is the Rhodophyce red algae. There are no flagellated structures there. Okay, no gametes, okay, no flagellated structures, nothing. No zoospores also in fact. Okay. Next one, habitat, where they live. I told you already they are all aquatic, they are present in the water mainly, but they can be there on the land also. So let us see where they are present. They have considered only water in NCERT, but I have told you even terrestrial also are there, but it is not considered in NCERT. So fresh water they are present, brackish water and salt water. That means in the sea salt water is there, and in the river and ponds generally fresh water will be there, and where the river meets the sea, there the joining part will be having the estuaries, we will be calling them as. So there the brackish water is present, the mix of fresh water and the salt water will be. So green algae are present in all the three areas. But whereas brown algae, freshwater organisms are very rare. They are generally, they won't prefer the fresh water generally. So brackish water they are present, and marine water also, salt water also they are present. Then coming to the red algae, fresh water some are there. So basically brown algae rarely seen in the fresh water. Mostly green algae are seen in the fresh water, or all of them, most of them will be there in the fresh water. Here red algae only some are there. So which will prefer the freshwater habitat means green algae first. Latter red algae, because some are there. Rarely brown algae are present in the fresh water. The remaining things you know, brackish water and salt water. So red algae will generally prefer the generally marine water, or salt water they will be preferring as a habitat. Okay. This is a table which will be indicating the types of pigments for all the three types of algae: Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Their pigments: chlorophyll AB, chlorophyll AC, fucoxanthin, AD and phycoerythrin. The reserve food materials: starch, laminarin and mannitol, Floridian starch in case of red algae. Then cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin will be there, but little bit algin is there. So here it is algin, here it is pectin and polysulfate esters. Then number of flagella 2 to 8, equal flagella and apical flagella. Only 2 flagella will be there, unequal flagella and lateral, on the side they are present, not at the apex, on the side they are present. In red algae totally all the flagella are absent. Then their habitat, in which waters they are present. Fresh water is preferred generally by the green algae, and some red algae will prefer the fresh water, but mostly red algae will prefer the marine water, and brown algae also will prefer the salt water only, marine water. Fresh water they are very rare forms are present. I hope all of you understood the algae classification table. If you understood, you can give a thumbs up so that I can proceed to the next topic. First group of plants are over, that is algae. Algae are completed. The simplest primitive talophytes, eukaryotic and photoautotrophs. They can perform photosynthesis and they can prepare their own food, and then they can store that food in case of different types of starches. Okay, thank you. Let me proceed to the next one. Bryophytes. So already I have told you in the first classification that plants are classified into non-embryophytes like algae and embryophytes, which will be having the embryos. They are the bryophytes, pteridophytes, okay, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So let us now see, from here onwards embryophytes will start, because they contain in their life cycle embryo. That means zygote will develop into embryo. So bryophytes, the next group of plants. These are actually preferring to stay in the near to the water bodies, because to complete their life cycle they need water. They require water for their reproduction, fertilization. They will stay near to the water bodies because they are the first actual plants. Okay, so they will be staying near to the water bodies. So as they need water, these plants are called as amphibious plants. I hope you all know the meaning of amphibians, which can live both on land and in water. So these bryophytes are having a nickname called amphibious plants. Amphibious plants means which can live both on the land and in water. So let us see the first point. The plant body is a gametophyte. The gametophyte is nothing but, okay, in this the gametophyte is the plant body, and this is also not differentiated into true root, stems and leaves. In this the plant body name is gametophyte, which is not differentiated. Again this is thalloid form only, not differentiated. Some of them are thalloid form, some of them will have leaf like structures, stem like structures, root like structures, but there are no true roots, true stems and true leaves. There are no true structures like normal root, stem and leaf, that parts are not there. Thalloid forms can be there, and root like structures, stem like structures and leaf like structures can be there. Okay. So that plant body in bryophytes is called as gametophyte. They are grown in areas which are in between the aquatic and the terrestrial habitats. In between terrestrial and aquatic habitats means amphibious zone. So that is why these are called as amphibious plants. All of you try to understand this, amphibious plants. They prefer to stay near the water bodies, but they can live both on land and in water. So they are called amphibious plants. So bryophytes are amphibious plants. Their nickname also you have to remember, amphibious plants. Okay. The next one, they have thalloid. As I told you, thalloid means which is undifferentiated, like just a structure like this which is not differentiated. Thalloid forms can be there, or leafy multicellular green plant body can be there. It can be like a plant body which looks like leaf like structures can be there, root like structures can be there. It looks like a plant, actual plant, but they are not called as root, stems and leaves. They are called as rhizoids. Roots are called as rhizoids. A stem like thing is called as the main axis. Leaf like things are called as phylloids. So different names are there because they don't have actual root, stem and leaf structures. So that is the leafy multicellular green plant body, and that plant body is called as the gametophyte. Okay. So here you can see the plant body lacks true root, stems or leaves. There are no true roots, stems and leaves in these plants. These are green and they contain chloroplasts. Definitely the plants are green. Green in color means obviously chloroplast is present and chlorophyll pigments are also present. Chlorophyll A and B, two pigments are present. And as pigments are there, they show autotrophic mode of nutrition. They are also autotrophs like algae, photoautotrophs. They will use the sunlight energy. They perform photosynthesis to prepare their own food. So they are the photoautotrophs. Then vascular tissues are completely absent. Algae and bryophytes. Now you got a point similar to algae and bryophytes. Both of them, they don't have the vascular tissues. Both of them are avascular. No vascular tissues are present. No xylem, no phloem. Algae and bryophytes both are avascular. No xylem, no phloem. Then sexual reproduction is oogamous. Already I taught you what is isogamy, what is anisogamy, what is oogamy. Oogamous means nothing but small male motile or non-motile gamete will be there, but large non-motile, okay, female gamete is there. The fusion of that large and small gamete is called as oogamy. So sexual reproduction is generally done by oogamy type. Male reproductive organ is known as antheridium. The names also you have to remember. From here onwards, the male reproductive organ is called as antheridium, female reproductive organ is called as archegonium. Antheridium will be looking like a club shaped structure, some kind of round club shaped structure, and archegonium will be looking like a flask. The tea flask will be there, like that the flask shaped structure will be there, archegonium. So antheridium is the male reproductive organ, okay, and it contains antherozoids. It contains a stalk and it contains biflagellate motile male gametes, antherozoids. Male reproductive organ or male sex organ is called antheridium, and the male gametes will be having motile structures, that means flagella are there. And how many flagella are there? Two flagella are there, biflagellate, and their name is antherozoids. Or you can simply call them as male gametes also. Then female sex organ is known as archegonium, okay. As I said, it is a flask shaped structure and it will be having a swollen base will be there, a neck will be there, and it contains inside egg. One egg is present. The female gamete is present inside. So antheridium is a male reproductive organ and it contains the male gametes called antherozoids, which contain two flagella. Archegonium is the female reproductive organ and it will be having a non-motile egg. So antherozoids will swim in the water and they will be fertilizing the egg. That type of fertilization and sexual reproduction is called oogamous type, oogamous. Then water is definitely essential for fertilization. Without water, okay, the fertilization cannot be done. So after fertilization, zygote is formed. This zygote develops into embryo, okay, and this embryo develops into further one more stage in the life cycle, that is called as sporophyte. Always remember, gametophyte means it will form gametes, okay. Then sporophyte means which will form spores. So the first stage or the dominant phase in the Bryophytes plant body is the gametophyte. Okay, and it has haploid nature. Haploid means only one set of chromosomes are present, one set. Do you remember how many chromosomes we have? 46 chromosomes. That is, we have two sets of chromosomes, 2n is equal to 46. Later you will learn the details. But here gametophyte means which forms the gametes, and it is haploid in nature. N means haploid. But fertilization product is zygote. From here onwards it is diploid. So zygote will develop into embryo, that is also diploid. Embryo will be developing into sporophyte, that is also diploid. Sporophyte means it is a plant body which forms the spores. Okay, gametophyte which forms the gametes, sporophyte which forms the spores. Gametophyte is haploid, sporophyte is diploid. So always in the life cycle of bryophytes, the gametophyte will be alternating with the sporophyte. First gametophyte, then sporophyte, then gametophyte again sporophyte. So they keep on alternating with each other. First gametophyte, then sporophyte, like that. I hope all of you understood the characteristics of bryophytes. Let us see some of the pics of the bryophytes. In these bryophytes we have liverworts and mosses. Liverworts will be thalloid forms. You can see here in these two, this is thallus. Here rhizoids are there, not roots. Instead of roots they possess rhizoids, and these are dorsally ventrally flattened structures, and they have the gemma cups. Gemma cups are meant for vegetative reproduction. Okay, or we can say asexual reproduction is done by the gemmae. They will go for the fragmentation, vegetative reproduction, and asexual reproduction is also done there. They are the asexual reproduction structures. So thallus, then some anthridiophore. Anthridiophore means male part, anthridium will be there. Archegoniophore means female part, archegonia are present. Here thallus forms are different. This is the male thallus, this is the female thallus. Only rhizoids are there, no roots. Instead of roots, rhizoids are present. These two belongs to Mercantia. This is the example, Mercantia. And this is a liverwort. Basically it is a liverwort. Okay, it is a dioecious liverwort where male and female will be different. Then next one, this one is the up from here to here, this part all of you see, from here to here, this is the gametophyte. Gametophyte has rhizoids, main axis is there, and leaf-like structures are there. Leaves are there, but they are not true leaves, you know, true roots, stems and leaves are absent. So main axis, rhizoids and leaves are present, and from here, from top here, this is the sporophyte. In the sporophyte we have foot. Here somewhere here embedded foot will be there, some structure like which will be keeping that structure intact with the gametophyte. Then seta, which you can see here, and this is the capsule. In this spores are produced. In this we have spore mother cells, from there spores are produced, and the spore will be developing into some filamentous stage like this. Later it becomes the plant. So spores will be dispersed. Okay, this structure is given only for this moss. This plant is actually moss, and this moss name is Funaria. Okay, these two pics are for Mercantia, which is a liverwort, but this is the moss, and in this moss gametophyte is given and sporophyte is also given. Gametophyte means which forms the gametes, sporophyte means which forms the spores. That spore will be developing into again the gametophyte. That is the life cycle. Next, this is also one more moss. This is very important because sphagnum. The name of this moss is sphagnum. Okay. So in the sphagnum you can see antheridial branch is there. Antheridial, antheridium means male part. Okay. Archegonium, female part. So here you will be having the archegonia will be having the egg, and antheridia will be having the male, antherozoids will be there. So sphagnum, this is the best example actually because it will be giving us peat. Peat is generally used as fuel. Peat, which is used as fuel. And you know, in olden days they used to use this plant to take or to carry water because it has the largest water absorbing capacity. It can absorb more liters of water. So it is used by our ancient people to carry water to different areas. Not only that one, nowadays it is used for the transshipment of living material. If you want to ship any living material to foreign countries or something, you have to pack them in this sphagnum, which is called as peat moss. So this is the most useful bryophyte for us. Otherwise they are all very small. They can be used as fodder, but very small they are. Though the picture is looking like this much big, they will be very small and they are almost microscopic, very small plants. Okay, that is about the bryophytes, liverworts and mosses. These two are mosses. Have all understood more? If you understood, you can give the thumbs up so that I will proceed to the next one. Okay, good. Thank you. Next one, Pteridophytes. In Pteridophytes, we have horsetails and ferns. Okay, they are commonly having horsetails and ferns. Common names, ma. Generally, Pteridophytes means ferns only will be telling, but horsetails also. They are some type of Pteridophytes. Mostly, they are called as ferns. And these are the first land plants actually that possess the vascular tissues. You know, vascular tissues means xylem and phloem. So first land plants which contain vascular tissues. Okay, first vascular plants. These are also called as vascular cryptogams. Cryptogams means non-flowering plants. Then these are present in the cool, damp, shady places, though some may flourish well in sandy soil conditions. Generally, they prefer the damp areas, shady areas, cool areas where water is more. Okay, and these one can be living in the sandy soil also, where sand is more. There also they can grow. And these are the first land plants. Okay, with vascular tissues. So their nickname is vascular cryptogams. Okay, they contain xylem and phloem. Next one, in Pteridophytes, the main plant body is sporophyte. Until now, you have learnt in algae and bryophytes, the plant body is thallus maybe, and it is a gametophyte. But from here onwards, Pteridophytes, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms, we have the plant body is a sporophyte. So sporophyte, which is having true root, stems and leaves. Like whatever the plants you are seeing in the vicinity, like true root, stems and leaves are there, that will be having this. Then they have well differentiated vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, all parts are there. Most of the parts of the xylem and phloem are there. All tissues, all organs like root, stem and leaf, all of them will have the vascular tissues. The leaves can be small. If the leaf is small, it is called microphyll. If it is large, it is called macrophyll. Small leaves are present in lycopodium. Okay, large leaves are present in selaginella. This is the best example which you have to remember, selaginella, which contains large leaves. Lycopodium will be having the small leaves, microphylls, megaphylls. And macrophylls are present in the ferns also. Macrophylls are also present in the ferns. The sporophytes, they bear sporangia in the leaf-like structures. You know, the leaf is called as sporophyll. So imagine one kind of leaf-like structure will be there like this. Okay. And in this we have the sporangia somewhere here at the margins. So the leaf with the sporangia, these are the sporangia, and this leaf is called sporophyll. So sporophyll is a leaf of pteridophyte which contains sporangia on its structure. And that sporophylls, they may aggregate together to form the cones or strobili. So one leaf, if you take so many leaves, if you cluster them together, that will form the strobili or cones. You can see sporophylls may form distinct compact structures, strobili or cones. In case of Selaginella and Equisetum. So in these two plants, cones are there like Selaginella and Equisetum, that the sporophylls will be joining together, clustered together to form a cone like structure. The next one, this sporangia will produce the spores because they contain the spore mother cells, they form the spores. Spore mother cells will be there, they will form the spores by meiosis generally, okay, and each spore germinates into a inconspicuous means which is not visible that much, and multicellular free living structure, and it is photosynthetic also, is called as prothallus. So each spore will germinate into, this spore will be germinating into a multicellular structure, heart shaped structure will be there, this is called prothallus. It's green in color and it can perform photosynthesis also, it is having many cells, multicellular structure, and here it will be having the archegonia and here it will be having the antheridia, and rhizoids are also present like this. So some kind of structure, thallus will be produced from the spore, each spore develops into prothallus. Then these gametophytes, they require cool, damp and shady places, only this prothallus can grow. Because of this requirement of cool, damp, shady places and water requirement, the pteridophytes are restricted to the narrow geographical areas. They are not present throughout the world, they are present only in limited areas of the world because they require that specific environment. They need cool, damp and shady places. They have to have the water, they will need that water for fertilization. Because of this reason, they are restricted to narrow areas, very limited areas of the world. Okay, let us see the pics of pteridophytes. This is the first one, this is Selaginella. Selaginella, which is nothing but a fern. Okay. Then this is the Equisetum, which is called as horsetail. You can see this Equisetum, horsetail example. This is a fern. You must have seen this fern plant in your garden basically. So many gardens will be having this ferns. Fern plants will be available. And this is the best example, Salvinia. See, you might be thinking that these are all roots, but these are not roots, these are all leaves. Okay. Which are there in the water, that hanging leaves will be there, not roots. Roots are absent in Salvinia. This time in the NEET exam, they have given a question saying that which are heterosporous pteridophytes. So the examples are Salvinia and Selaginella. These two are heterosporous. Heterosporous means two types of spores are produced, microspore and megaspore. So heterosporous ones are Selaginella and Salvinia. Remaining all are homosporous. So many examples here I have written, they are the homosporous ones. So Bryophytes are homosporous, all of them. Pteridophytes are homosporous as well as heterosporous. Homosporous means only one type of spore. Heterosporous means two types of spores are there, microspore and macrospore. I hope all of you understood this. The classification of pteridophytes you will be learning after coming here. Have all understood, ma'am? Okay, the next group of plants are Gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are basically called as naked seeded plants because they contain the ovules naked, they do not have the fruits, so seeds are present openly. So they are called as naked seeded plants or naked ovule containing plants. They have their ovules are also naked or seeds are also naked, no fruits, no ovary, nothing. So that type of plants are called Gymnosperms, naked seeded plants. And these groups of plants where ovules are not enclosed in the and the seeds are remain free or naked, seeds are also naked. Then these are evergreen, generally green color, and woody. Wood is also can be formed. Perennials, perennials means which have more lifespan, like more number of years they can live, like not 1 year or 2 years, more number of years they can live, that is perennial. Shrubby, shrubby means like shrubs, okay, limited height, or maybe tree like. Shrub means like I told you 3 feet height or something like that, more than 3 feet it will come under the tree habit. So they can be like woody trees can be there, woody perennial trees can be there, or they can be shrubs also. The next one, seeds are formed, not formed inside the fruit. So there is no fruit at all. So they have the naked seeds. Naked seeds basically, okay, because they don't contain any fruit. They can have the needle-like leaves, sharp, very needle-like, like we'll be seeing, no, that needle-like leaves can be there in them, and many of them are very large in size, okay. The leaves are also large in size, and they show desert characters. Xerophytic characters means desert, dry condition plants, how they show the characters, that type of characters will be shown by these plants, xerophytic characters. And then these are the most ancient seed bearing vascular plants. Vascular tissues developed in the Pteridophytes only, they continued here, and but these are the most ancient but seed bearing. In seed bearing, these are the first ones, first seed plants. Which ones? Gymnosperms. First vascular plants, which ones? Pteridophytes, okay. Gymnosperms are first seed bearing plants. These plants will have vascular tissues, which already you know, it will be continued, because Pteridophytes only xylem and phloem are formed. So it will be continued here also, and they are meant for transportation of water and food. The next one, xylem does not have any vessels. This is an important point here, because vessels are present in angiosperms only, okay, and no companion cells and sieve tubes. Very, very, very important this point. In gymnosperms, there are no vessels, no sieve tubes, no companion cells, but these three will be present in the angiosperms. Then ovules are on scales, some kind of scales will be there on that edge. The ovules will be there like this. In this area, the ovules are present. Naked ovules. These are the scales or the sporophylls. The leaves are called sporophylls. And they can also be arranged like cone-like structures. Male cone, female cone, like that they can be formed. Gymnosperms, actually, they will spread their pollen grains. They will disperse their pollen grains by the air. Wind current will be dispersing that pollen. And most of the gymnosperms, as the wastage of pollen is more, they will produce more number of pollen grains, or large number of pollen grains will be produced by that. The male gametophyte is nothing but pollen grain. Okay, male gametophyte is produced from the microspore, that is called as a pollen grain, and it contains two gametes. One is functional, one is non-functional. They can form cones with reproductive structures. Okay, and then the endosperm is the female gametophyte. You can see here female gametophyte is the endosperm. This is important here, which contain archegonia and egg in the structure. Okay. So archegonia are also present, and inside the archegonia we have the eggs. In pollen grain we have two gametes, in which one is functional. So you have to imagine one is pollen grain. Okay, imagine here this is the pollen grain. It will have two gametes like this. They may be motile or they may be non-motile, but one is functional. This one is functional. It is called as male gametophyte. And female gamete, that ovule will be there. Inside the ovule, egg is present here. This is archegonia. And each ovule will contain 2 to 8 archegonia. Examples, this is cycad, cycas, this is pinus, this is ginkgo. Okay. The pics which are given in NCERT, cycas, ornamental plant, pinus, conifer, ginkgo. It has dwarf shoot, large shoot and seeds. I hope all of you understood gymnosperms. Naked seeded plants, basically. Naked ovule containing plants. Let us see the next one, the last one. Angiosperms. In angiosperms we have vessels. Angio means vessel and sperms means seed bearing. Seeds are present and even vessels are also present. Whatever the garden plants you are growing nowadays in your house, okay, they are nothing but the angiosperms because they are the flowering plants and they contain the fruits. Seeds are enclosed within the fruits. These three are the main features of angiosperms. And in this, xylem will be having the vessels because vessels are absent in gymnosperms. Here vessels are present. Then companion cells are present in the phloem along with the sieve tubes. And reproductive organ is there, that is the flower. And stamens are present in the flower and carpels are present in the flower. Stamens are microsporophylls and carpels are megasporophylls. Microsporophyll, stamen will be having 4 microsporangia. Each microsporophyll will be having 4 microsporangia and inside that pollen grains are produced. Ovules are enclosed within the ovary. Ovary will be there and ovules are also there. Ovules were naked in gymnosperms but here they are present in the ovary. And the ovary is present at the base of the megasporophyll and all angiosperms are heterosporous, even all gymnosperms are also heterosporous. They produce 2 kinds of spores, microspore or pollen grain, megaspore. A single functional megaspore will be there which is present in the ovule. Inside one ovule, one megaspore is functional. And that megaspore will be forming the female gametophyte which is called as embryo sac. Let us see that in the form of a picture. The most important point about the angiosperms is the flowers undergo double fertilization and triple fusion. This is double fertilization. 2 times fertilization will be happening. This is unique feature of angiosperms. Angiosperms will undergo double fertilization and triple fusion, which leads to the formation of diploid zygote and the triploid endosperm. Plant body is a sporophyte only and these ones will be containing this type of structure. This is the stamen. This is the pollen grain. Okay, pollen grain is formed, pollen tube is growing and this is the ovary. Okay, this is the ovule inside and inside the ovule this is the female gametophyte. Female gametophyte, which is also called as embryo sac. So fertilization will be happening because it involves the antipodal cells, synergids, okay. Antipodals will be there on one side, synergids, egg will be there, central cell will be there. So egg will be fertilized by the male gamete which is coming here and zygote is formed. And central cell will be fertilized to form the endosperm. So imagine that one male gamete is there, fertilizes with the female gamete or egg to form the zygote. This is the first fertilization. Second fertilization, next male gamete with the central cell. This forms the primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. So 2 fertilizations are there, so double fertilization and triple fusion. Later you will be learning about the life cycles also, and you know the difference between monocots and dicots. Monocots will be having 1 cotyledon, dicots 2 cotyledons, fibrous root system, taproot system, scattered vascular bundles. About vascular bundles you will be learning thoroughly later. Ringed vascular bundles, parallel venation in case of monocots, reticulate venation in case of this. Trimerous and tetramerous flowers. That's all. With this we will be ending the plant kingdom. I hope all of you understood. This is the plant kingdom.
Next class.
Done now?
Ended na this one?
Wait.